Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on an exploration of a really incredible place, a land where, ancient traditions seem to breathe right alongside modern innovation, where the wild Atlantic sculpts these majestic cliffs and a rich tapestry of history unfolds in, well, every misty valley and charming village. We're diving deep into Ireland, often affectionately known as the Emerald Isle. To guide our journey, we pulled insights from a detailed YouTube transcript by Epic Explorations TV EN, and also a pretty comprehensive 3-minute travel guide to Ireland. Our mission today is really to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights from these sources, to give you a shortcut to being truly well-informed about this captivating nation. We'll uncover not just its famous landscapes, but the enduring spirit of its people, its vibrant culture, some surprising modern transformations, and the unique places that make Ireland just unforgettable.
Exactly, and this deep dive isn't just about listing what Ireland offers, it's more about understanding why these different elements matter, and crucially how they all weave together. We'll be sort of connecting the dots, helping you see how everything from its really ancient roots to its booming tech industry contributes to Ireland's unique and, I think, resilient identity. Think of it as, peeling back the layers to get at the very soul of the island.
Okay, right. Let's start with that nickname then, Emerald Isle. Let's unpack that. Our sources paint a really vivid picture, explaining that something like 65% of Ireland's territory is agricultural or rural. It presents this mosaic of green and infinite shades. It's a landscape profoundly shaped by, well, centuries of humans and nature coexisting. It really earns that title, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, and foundational to understanding Ireland is its geography. It's this island stretching west of Great Britain, and it's politically divided. You have the independent Republic of Ireland and then Northern Ireland, which is part of the United Kingdom. But what's really fascinating, I think, is that despite this political line, the Celtic culture, the traditions, they're broadly shared across the whole island. The border itself is often, well, almost imperceptible. Sometimes it's just a subtle change in, like, the color of the road signs. And that shared cultural thread, it speaks volumes, about the island's underlying unity.
Interesting. And one aspect of Ireland that surprises a lot of people is its climate. I mean, despite being quite far north, Ireland enjoys this temperate oceanic climate, and that's all thanks to the beneficial influence of the Gulf Stream. Snow is actually pretty rare, but rain.
Well, the sources call it an almost daily companion.
Yeah.
Right. And they also highlight something genuinely unique. It's apparently not unusual to experience all 4 seasons in a single day.
Well,
Bright sunshine, then driving rain, maybe brief gusts of wind, and then moments of serene calm, all within just a few hours.
yeah, that 4 seasons in a day idea,
Right.
it perfectly captures the unpredictable yet undeniably charming nature often associated with the island. It sort of hints at a wild, maybe untamed spirit that defines Ireland beyond just, the green fields. It's a place that definitely keeps you present, constantly adapting to its mercurial beauty. Right. And traveling through Ireland, it really can feel like stepping back in time. Our sources explain that you encounter monuments older than even the Egyptian pyramids, which is just, wow. Take Newgrange, for example. This Neolithic site, it dates all the way back to 3200 BCE. And it reveals the civilization that had this astonishing understanding of the winter solstice. On that specific day, the sun's rays actually penetrate the structure, illuminating its inner corridor. It's just an incredible testament to ancient knowledge.
It's an amazing window into the past, isn't it? And if you broaden that historical scope, you see countless medieval stone structures all over, imposing defensive buildings, majestic circular towers, deep moats. They dot the Irish landscape. And these aren't just like old buildings, they're silent witnesses. They testify to, as one source put it, centuries of troubled history between conflicts, conquests, and fierce resistance against invaders. They tell a really powerful story of survival and endurance, often against the odds.
And speaking of endurance, let's talk about language for a second. Irish Gaelic still resonates. It's the first official language of the Republic, though admittedly English is certainly more widespread in daily life. But in these areas called Gaeltacht, which are primarily along the western coast, Gaelic is still the everyday language. It's preserving what the sources call a 1,000-year-old linguistic heritage. It's pretty remarkable how that tradition holds strong.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is the contrast. Despite these incredibly deep historical roots and ancient traditions, Ireland is actually a surprisingly young nation. It has one of Europe's lowest median ages, somewhere around 38 years old, which, it raises an interesting question. how does a country with such an ancient soul manage to maintain such a youthful demographic? It seems to be always looking forward.
That is a fascinating paradox. How do you see that youthful energy playing out then? In the culture day to day, beyond just the numbers, does it manifest in a particular vibrancy?
Oh, absolutely. I think it suggests a really dynamic blend of old and new. While the past is clearly revered, there's also this definite openness to modernity, to innovation perhaps. Yeah, fueled by that younger population. It's not a nation solely defined by its history, but one that's actively, building its future. And you see this clearly in its vibrant arts and music scenes, where tradition often gets a very contemporary twist.
Right, adding to that vibrant blend is the folklore. Irish folklore is just everywhere. The shamrock, for instance, it's intimately linked to Irish identity, famously said to have been used by St. Patrick to explain the Christian Trinity. And from there, you dive into this rich tapestry of stories, druids, leprechauns, banshees, giants. What's really captivating is how many natural locations, like the Giant's Causeway up in Northern Ireland, are just steeped in these ancient legends. It makes the landscape itself part of the storytelling. Okay, so if ancient sites are kind of like Ireland's bones, then music is its beating heart. Our sources really emphasize this. It's the common thread uniting past and present, from ancient Celtic rhythms to folk ballads, and it's played on these wonderful traditional instruments like the bodhrán, that's a frame drum, the tin whistle, the Willian pipe, which is a unique Irish bagpipe, and of course the fiddle. And even huge contemporary bands like U2, they carry this incredible legacy forward. It shows how tradition keeps inspiring innovation.
Yeah, definitely. And where does that music truly come alive? Well, often it's in the Irish pubs. They're really not just places to grab a drink. Our sources call them genuine social and cultural centers. It's in these pubs that you get spontaneous music sessions, trad sessions, where local musicians gather, stories get handed down through generations, and community relationships are really cultivated. They truly are the living rooms of Ireland in many ways.
Absolutely. And naturally, in those pubs, Guinness flows freely. You can't talk about pubs without mentioning it. The iconic dark beer, born in Dublin way back in 1759, it's now a national symbol. Just as much as the harp, actually, which appears on Irish coins and official documents, is truly woven into the fabric of the country.
And that fabric, it stretches far beyond the island's shores. Ireland's influence, it's global. Over 70 million people worldwide claim Irish heritage, particularly in places like the United States, Canada, Australia, which explains why St. Patrick's Day is now celebrated, pretty much everywhere, right? Temporarily transforming into Irish letters, even those who don't have a drop of Celtic blood, as one source put it. It's a remarkable cultural reach, speaks to a really powerful diaspora.
It really does. Now, one of the most striking shifts, I think, in modern Ireland is its profound economic transformation over the last couple of decades. Dublin, especially, has become a major European base for tech giants. Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, they're all there. Apparently, thanks to favorable taxation, our sources even refer to the island as the European Silicon Valley.
And this profound economic shift, it naturally raises an important question. What does this actually mean for Ireland's identity, especially given those deep traditional roots we've been talking about?
Yeah, it seems to create a really fascinating contrast, doesn't it? This image of the European Silicon Valley right alongside the traditional rural image of, green pastures and stone cottages. It definitely challenges the stereotypes many people might have.
Exactly. I think it shows Ireland as a country that has reinvented itself, keeping its roots firm while looking decisively to the future. There's this dynamic tension, you could say, between tradition and innovation that's constantly shaping the country. It highlights a remarkable adaptability, I think, while still retaining those core values.
Okay, so now let's explore some of the most incredible places that vividly showcase everything we've discussed, from the wild beauty of the landscapes to the depth of its history and the pulse of its modern life. First up, a truly iconic natural wonder, the Cliffs of Moher. On the west coast, just imagine the roar of the Atlantic hitting this rock barrier that towers, 214 meters high in places?
Incredible.
Yeah. And these cliffs have defied the ocean for 350 million years. They've been sculpted by wind and waves for 8 kilometers. Thousands of seabirds make these walls their home. Beyond just the immense scale, the Cliffs of Moher offer this visceral understanding of Ireland's enduring spirit, a land constantly shaped by the wild Atlantic, yet somehow standing firm. It's a place where geological time feels really palpable.
Just as impressive, absolutely, though formed by a completely different process, is the Giant's Causeway up in Northern Ireland. It's this geological enigma, isn't it, with 40,000 hexagonal basalt columns just emerging from the sea, like keys of some primordial piano. Scientists explain it as an ancient volcanic eruption followed by rapid lava cooling. Pretty straightforward, geologically speaking. But the local tradition tells a very different and maybe equally compelling story about an Irish giant, Finn McCool, who built this road to reach Scotland and challenge his rival. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site where science and folklore just beautifully intertwine, makes you kind of question what you thought you knew.
Right. And if the Giant's Causeway fascinates with those unique formations, Ireland's western coastline offers other equally awe-inspiring, if maybe less geometrically perfect, natural formations. You mentioned the Wild Atlantic Way earlier, that huge coastal road over 2,500 kilometers along the western edge. It takes you through stunning cliffs like Slieve League in Donegal, apparently 3 times higher than the cliffs of Moher.
Which is hard to imagine.
I know. And along pristine beaches, charming seaside villages. It's a journey that really lets you feel the pulse of the island, I think.
And amidst these dramatic coastlines, you find places like the Burren National Park, often described as a lunar landscape. It's all bare limestone rock, telling 340 million years of Earth's history. But the paradox here is just astonishing. You get Arctic, Mediterranean, and alpine plants blooming side by side in the cracks of the stone. It's an ecosystem that seems to defy all logic. And it also preserves the highest concentration of megalithic tombs in Ireland, reminding us that people have been living even in this stark beauty for millennia.
Okay, so from these raw, wild landscapes, let's turn our attention to Ireland's vibrant cities, starting with the capital, Dublin. It's a lively hub along the River Liffey, and it's a place where ancient history really does meet modern life. You can explore Trinity College, home to that spectacular long room. Have you seen pictures? Thousands of ancient books.
Oh, it's incredible.
And the Book of Kells, that beautifully illuminated 9th century manuscript. Then there's the lively Temple Bar District, cobbled streets full of artistic life. Dublin Castle stands on old Viking foundations. You find these elegant Georgian streets like Marion Square, right next to modern glass buildings. It reflects that continuous evolution. And of course, you can take a tour of the Guinness Storehouse, get a taste of a national institution.
And if you venture further west, you find Galway, a city where, as one source nicely put it, musical notes come out of open doors. It feels like that. It's a place where you just encounter music everywhere in its medieval streets. Street musicians abound in the ancient Latin Quarter and the modern university. Its pubs, especially, keep those music sessions alive often until dawn, with locals and visitors joining in. It really feels like a city where culture is just lived out loud.
Yeah, I get that sense too. And then there's Kilkenny, often described as Ireland's most charming medieval city. It has this imposing Norman castle overlooking the River Nore, and really well-preserved buildings like St. Canice's Cathedral and Roth House, which is a 16th century home, now a museum. It seems to perfectly encapsulate that blend of deep history and a thriving artistic community today.
Okay, let's turn our gaze now towards some of Ireland's really ancient heritage and spiritual sites, places where the veil between past and present feels particularly thin. Beyond Newgrange, which we've already touched on, consider the Rock of Cashel. It's this dramatic, rocky outcrop crowned with medieval buildings, and it was crucial to Ireland's conversion to Christianity. Tradition says St. Patrick himself baptized the King of Munster here back in the 5th century. Its roofless cathedral, the round tower, the Celtic crosses you see in the cemetery. They beautifully blend pagan and Christian imagery. It tells a complex story of spiritual evolution.
And hidden away in the Wicklow Mountains, there's Glendalough. It's this valley with 2 lakes where time really seems to have stopped around the 6th century. This monastic settlement was known as the Island of Saints and Scholars. Monks there copied manuscripts, preserving knowledge that might otherwise have been lost during the Dark Ages. It features one of those iconic, tall, round towers about 30 meters high. Today, it feels like a refuge from modern life, a really serene place where pilgrims still walk ancient paths, maybe seeking some quiet contemplation.
Then, of course, there's Blarney Castle, home of the legendary Blarney Stone, the Stone of Eloquence, promises the gift of storytelling, the gift of the gab to those who kiss it, which involves lying down and bending backward over quite a significant drop.
Right. Not for the faint-hearted.
No, definitely not. And the castle's history involves resistance against the English crown. Its gardens have these fascinating rock formations where Druids supposedly practice rites, and witches are said to have found refuge. What's really captivating is how these legends continue to shape the experience of the place today. They really draw you into this world of myth.
Okay, finally, let's touch on some unique island experiences, some charming towns that kind of round out Ireland's really diverse appeal. Take the Aran Islands, for instance. These 3 stone islands emerging from the Atlantic. They're like witnesses to unparalleled human determination. Inhabitants literally created fertile ground on bare rock by carrying seaweed and sand painstakingly over generations. They built kilometers of stone walls without mortar that protect the crops from the Atlantic winds and have endured for centuries. It's also home to the prehistoric fort of Dunangus, which just dramatically defies the sea on a sheer cliff edge. Amazing.
Yeah, incredible resilience. And then there's Cobb, a small port city on the south coast that hides stories much larger than its size. It was famously the Titanic's last port of call in 1912, and its docks saw 3 million Irish people depart during the Great Famine, a really poignant reminder of emigration and hardship. Its colorful terraced houses cling to the hillsides, and just offshore you can see Spike Island, nicknamed Ireland's Alcatraz, which housed prisoners for centuries. It's a powerful place, makes you reflect on the human journey, both departures and confinement.
Wow. So we've just journeyed through Ireland from its ancient megalithic sites and picturesque villages to its dynamic cities and truly spectacular cliffs. We've seen how this is a country that has definitely reinvented itself, yet somehow kept its roots firm while looking decisively towards the future.
Exactly. And if we try to connect this all to the bigger picture, Ireland isn't just, a collection of historical sites or beautiful landscapes. It feels more like a living narrative, where ancient legends still seem to breathe. Every stone, every pub, every musical note tells a story often of resilience, adaptation, and an enduring spirit, which suggests maybe that the true magic of Ireland lies in its ability to consistently intertwine its past and present. And perhaps it challenges us, to consider how our own histories shape our own futures.
That's a wonderful thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Ireland. We hope this exploration has enriched your knowledge and maybe even sparked a desire to experience the Sin Mil Féilt, that famous 100,000 welcomes for yourself someday.